Guys, it's your boy Anthony I. Cruz, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about moving while working remotely. Now, this is an interesting topic because it's a lot different from actually just moving without a remote job. And what I mean is, people make excuses about their lives like, oh, I got to move here because of a job opportunity. Oh, I have to move here because, my boss or my company is telling me what to do. But in this case, you still have control of your life. But it's a little bit tricky too, because working for a company, it's not always going to be straightforward and easy. You don't just insert yourself in one location and go to another. There's a lot that goes into it, So we're going to talk about that here today. And I'm going to give you guys some context with my own background and how I strategize moving from New Jersey / Philly to Dallas. And I'm moving again. So yeah, I know a thing or two about moving. But this time it'll be easier. I'm not moving as far, I'm not moving across country. I won't tell you guys where I'm moving to yet, so you guys will have to stay tuned and find out. Let me get out of the heat, man. It's too hot out here. I'm gonna shoot in the crib because right now I'm at Griggs Park and I love coming here, but man, it's like 90 degrees out right now, man. So let me get going. All right, guys, I'm back. Got my coffee, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to White Rhino. I'm gonna miss that coffee shop so much. But, Dallas has so many good options here, and that's one of the things that was different. And what I wanted to explore with this new area is that there's so many small businesses and so many different restaurants. Like in Jersey, man, you just have all the chains and stuff. But listen, let's get right into it. Let me not go on a tangent real quick. So let me think for a second. That's right. So we're talking about step one, what you should do, right? So step one is identifying why you want to move. Listen, what I meant earlier, right, is that everyone's always asking, oh, why did you move here, right? And they'll tell me, is it for a job? Is it for your family? Is it for some of these things that are important to you as a man? And yeah, those things are very important to me. Maybe in the near future, I would probably want to be back near my family because being out here, especially in Dallas, I don't know anyone. I still have that hunger and desire, you know what I'm saying, to meet new people and keep traveling and keep exploring. And that's just me, right? But you really have to identify why you want to move. Look yourself in the mirror. No matter what your situation is, what your financial situation is, you have to identify why you really want to move. And for me, it was because I wanted to get into real estate. I was originally trying to get into real estate here in Dallas, and that ended up not working out, but I have no regrets because I gave it a try and I got to see the real estate out here, and it's amazing. It's incredible. There's a lot of opportunities, as I was saying earlier, where you see all these small businesses come together because of the laws out here in Texas. And also the no state income tax. That was a big reason why I was drawn to Texas. A lot of people move here to save money, but any place you move to is going to have its good and its bad. But you guys have to identify why you want to move, because people are going to ask you, oh, did you move here for this reason or that reason? And when I say I moved here for real estate, they don't really get that because everyone thinks like a worker and they don't think for themselves. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but at the end of the day, you being a professional and working at a company does not define your life. Okay? It shouldn't define your life. And I believe that if work is your life, then so be it. I think in a business mindset, and my mindset is that I'm going to move to a location that's based solely on my interests and has nothing to do with my job. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm still going to follow the rules and still be, a good professional worker for the company. But it doesn't mean that when I have these conversations with people that this is the reason why I moved. It's not just for my company. And I'm not knocking people that do that. But when you work remotely, you can really strategize this and make it work in your favor. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing that I would do as a remote worker. Just look yourself in the mirror and really identify why you want to move. The second thing that you guys really want to do is make sure you do your research on these cities, man. Listen, when I was in Philly, I underestimated how walkable it was. And I underestimated how much you had to drive out here in Dallas, okay? And it's a huge adjustment for someone like me, especially from the Northeast, where I'm just used to everything being super close by. Now, just to get coffee, it takes 30 minutes. It's crazy, And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's just how it is, You have to really do the research on the cost of living, cost of utilities, cost of food, and all that stuff, cost of healthcare, you know, the logistics, how far everything is. You know, for me, I like coffee shops and I like going to the gym. Like, how far are these things from the potential apartment that you're gonna live in? Do research on the individual neighborhoods. I think a lot of Americans like myself underestimate how powerful neighborhoods can be. Okay. And no matter if you're in Chicago, if you're in Philly or in Dallas, you have to know what neighborhood you're living in. And that was something that really affected me because I thought I picked the right neighborhood, and honestly, just by going here for 3 or 4 days, it wasn't the same as living here for a month, 2 months, and now we're signed to a 12-month lease. You know, so you really got to make sure you guys are setting yourselves up for success, especially working from home, right? So a thing that you guys want to think about too is the apartment, right? Does it have the amenities? Does it have everything you need? Is your work set up optimal so that like you can be comfortable working from home, or being able to bring the laptop to the co-working space here in your apartment or up the street? Is the neighborhood, you know, suitable for that kind of environment? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel comfortable walking around with your work laptop? These are the things that you really, really got to think about, you know? And I feel like people that don't work from home are not really going to care about this kind of stuff because they just want to find a nice neighborhood and, you know, they don't mind driving to the office. But for you, you're in control. You know what I'm saying? You're more so in control of your day and what you do with that day. You know, do you want to go to the coffee shop today, or do you just want to stay home all day? You know, so like you really got to think about those things. One thing that I could say about Dallas that I really enjoyed is there's so many different coffee shops outside of just Starbucks. I don't even go to Starbucks anymore, let alone do I even eat at any of the chain foods like McDonald's, Chipotle, Taco Bell, especially Taco Bell. I don't even know why that's here, man. It's crazy. We got so many options out here. It's crazy. But one thing I didn't research about Dallas is the fact that you get a lot of outages out here, right? When it rains really heavily, it's not the same as back home where it's just a light drizzle. You know, it's like, it's not like Houston, you know, with the hurricanes and shit, but it's almost like that to me. And then there's hailstorm. It's wild. And then, you know, just going for a walk outside, it's like 100 degrees out. Like I could barely shoot the video just now when I was trying to talk to you guys. So, you know, those are things that you're not going to really know until you live it, but that's going to go into my next point. But before I get into my next point, what you guys have to do is utilize Reddit. There's specific subreddits for what you're looking for, right? For Dallas remote workers, be very specific about what you're researching. Try to talk to a friend or family that already lives out there. I know my cousin lives out here in Texas, but he's not close to Dallas, so he doesn't know that much about it. Outside of, you know, the driving here is crazy, which is another thing I should have done research on. But you know, use all the apps. Obviously, for me, you know, your boy has been the king of Meetup. I built 2 communities, one in Philly and one here in Dallas, and I could talk about that in a separate video. But Meetup is a really, really amazing app too, so make sure you guys utilize that. It is imperative that you guys hit the ground running so that first week when you move, you're already meeting people and you're already getting acclimated with the neighborhood you're living in. And that's why doing the research is so important, because you won't end up wanting to, you know, switch neighborhoods or move out of the neighborhood after just 3 or 4 months, like how I felt, you know? So you guys really gotta do the research ahead of time, talk to people, gather as much information as possible, and ask a lot of questions once you get to this next step, which I'm gonna say right now. Step number 3 is planning a week trip, if not multiple week trips, to the new location that you're trying to live in. Now, the reason why I say multiple, right? And I know everyone doesn't have the financial situation. I know I didn't. And it's kind of crazy looking back because I was in a weird situation. I wouldn't say weird, but unique situation that allowed me to move very easily, but I had a very small time slot to get it done. And even though I was remote, it still felt like, you know, I couldn't take a lot of days off and I couldn't really relax or even enjoy, you know, living here the first few weeks. It took me some time to really get comfortable. I would say about 3 or 4 months for me. But basically, for me, right, I just moved here on a whim. Like I came here for 3 nights in April, and then I ended up moving here last August. And April and August here in Dallas is a lot different. A lot of stuff can happen in between that time. One fun fact about living in this neighborhood, and I don't want to disclose that yet, but maybe in the near future, I kind of go more in depth about the neighborhood I chose. Oh, well, actually, I'm about to move anyways. So the neighborhood that I chose, guys, was Deep Ellum. And Deep Ellum, I didn't know that there was gonna be a lot of construction here, right? When I came in April, right, we went to a spot called Ruins, and that whole street is completely like, you can't even walk on it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that when we came here in April. We were here for 3 nights. But now, like, fast forward to August of 2024, you see the whole street effed up and it's not the same. It's not the same vibe, and it's 110 degrees out. It's crazy. So it's very important that you spend as much time in the new place as possible without committing to that new place, okay? Because for me, right, 3 or 4 nights, came here during the winter, early spring, whatever you want to call it, and then in the extreme of the summer, you know, 5, 6 months later, and all this stuff has changed, and I didn't keep up with what was going on in my neighborhood that I wanted to live in. So, you know, now I'm signed to the 12-month lease, but for you guys, if you are in a good setting, right, you can take your time. Now, if you don't have the money to go multiple times, you don't got it like that, then I suggest you guys really take your time moving and set yourselves up well. Save up as much money as possible and do the week trip. Do it. Take off for the whole week. It will be worth it because you will really be able to evaluate the neighborhood without really living there. And if you guys can't afford to do that, then you need to follow the Instagram pages and follow up with the trends ahead of time so you know what you're getting yourself into, guys. You know what you're getting yourself into. And remember, this is scary because you don't really know anyone when you get there, right? So we're trying to set ourselves up so that when you insert yourself into this new city, this new neighborhood, you are as comfortable as possible while still being uncomfortable, right? Knowing that you're gonna have to restart. I get that, right? But you still gotta set yourself up to be comfortable so that there's people that you can talk to just in case an emergency happens. You want to make friends. You want to be friendly. You want to, you know, talk to the property manager. You want to try your best to just get acclimated without committing too much to that new location. Now, another suggestion is for you guys to, you know, maybe you can sign a short-term lease. Maybe you can get a hostel. Like, there's a lot of different options. You can Airbnb, you know. I don't do those things very often. I wish I did, and I want to talk about that more. But yeah, that's my advice for you guys, especially being remote, what you got to do. But I got a few more steps. The next thing I really want to tell you guys is, and this is pretty obvious, but make sure you plan out if you want to go to another city, because I would hate for you guys to regret moving somewhere and not having explored all your options. Again, I'm assuming that a lot of you guys maybe don't have the money to just be traveling around doing all this, but that's why you got to take your time with this kind of stuff. I literally just moved last year at 28. And when I was 23, man, I was so jealous going on YouTube and seeing all these people travel and stuff, but I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking care of my financial situation, my body, my mental, and rightfully so, especially as a guy. Like, it takes us some time, you know, to get developed if we're not really moving quickly in life like that, you know. Maybe I didn't have the right figures in my life to lead me to that. I didn't have any mentors or anything. But looking back now, I'm glad that, you know, I just stayed in Jersey and Philly, the areas that I knew, because this shit is hard. It's hard, and you have to live with your choice, you know. Not to say I regret living here, but there's been days where, you know, you really miss your family and you don't get to see them for the holidays. You don't get to see them on special occasions or just a quick pop-up, you know. So don't take for granted that you have a family or you have a community there, you know, in the area that you already know. Take your time. Please take your time. Don't follow what other people are doing. Plan out other cities if you want to. That's what I would do, because you get the best of both worlds and you get to hear people's perspectives. I know when I was hosting the meetups in Philly, I was really, really inspired by everyone that came, because it was a lot of people from all over the world and all over the country, and they were giving me their perspective. And it was funny because, like, I was 26 at the time, and I was a little bit jealous because I would hear people like, oh, I went to Singapore, I lived here, I lived there, you know, I lived in Japan. I'm coming from this area. I'm coming from South Carolina, North Carolina, California, and I really wanted to have that experience and talk about it. And yes, it feels great to go back home and tell people about, Dallas. I love it for myself, and I love it for my life that I can have that on my palette. I can have that experience, and it is a life-changing experience. I feel very thankful to God every day. But at the same time, if I could do it all over again, I would definitely plan it a lot better, because now I'm moving to another city, and I want to get more into my strategy, but I feel like I should save that for another video, or maybe I'll do like a part two. I'll do a part two on my situation. I gave you guys some gems on what I did, right? But there's a little bit more detail I can give you guys in terms of like how to strategize that as a remote worker. But those are general tips that I wanted to give you guys. And obviously, right up until the point where you're about to move, make sure again you're setting up those meetups. You're doing what you can so that you're comfortable in that neighborhood. But the hard part about this is that you got to find the reason why you really want to do this. And when you're having conversations with people, know yourself, know yourself, know who you are, your morals, your values, and find people that align with that, because it will be easier to have those conversations. I wanted to come here for real estate, but unfortunately I didn't put myself out there like that. And I kind of fell off of that, and I'm kind of on to a new venture, and that's influencing me to make sure that, like, hey, my next move, I really want to know myself. And it's good to discover yourself. I'm going on a tangent about self-discovery, but I think at some point as you get older, you just want to get things, together, because you're tired of being all over the place. So let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, but I'm going to make a part two to this on how to strategize as a remote worker and how I did it, and how you can as well. I'm going to do a little bit more research, see what's going on. I know all the layoff stuff, you just got to ignore it, and you got to make sure you're doing what you got to do to be competitive out here. So that's all I can say. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.